Watch the ride.
Hey everybody, I hope you're all doing alright out there. As you may know, I have this UBCO 2-wheel drive little electric 50cc equivalent motorbike on loan from English Electric Motor Co. I did a first ride and I've messed around in it, and I did a second video which I was just messing around. Today I'm going to try and combine a load of things. I'm going to try and do a bit of a range test. I'm going to try and find as much off-roady stuff as I can. Now the reason I'm trying to condense like a range test and some off-road testing and everything into one video is because I thought I was going to have this bike for another 6 days, and that's just turned into 2 days because the next bike I'm getting from them, and one I really want to get, by them bringing it forwards means I actually get it slightly longer, and that's really good because I do feel like I've kind of been able to test this bike and all its capabilities and know everything there is to know almost from the start, because I rode it and was like, well, there you go, that's the top speed and that's the handling, and oh my god, this is fun. Honestly, proper blast. However, there is a place this bike is not a proper blast, and that is on a road which is not 30. I did want to take this green laning, but the road I have to go onto to get to the green lanes is a 60, and 27 in 60 is not safe, not with people today. They are too impatient, they are too impersonal, and they will absolutely just drive up behind you and try and intimidate you and stuff like that. As I've said before, I just don't think 50cc bikes are safe or equivalents. On local roads, don't get me wrong, absolutely great. Somewhere that you don't have to deal with 40-mile-an-hour roads or faster, because of course the rules are, what you should do is just people should keep back and overtake where it's safe to do so. I don't have a problem with that, but they don't do that. They sit up right behind you, and then when they do choose to overtake you, they'll do it in the most knobbish way they possibly can. However, this is a 40-mile-an-hour road, and I'm fine right now because people are slow and it's busy traffic. Getting up to 30 is perfectly quick. It's just that's where it ends. I mean, I've even noticed that this bike is holding 27 miles an hour. If I get onto a hill, you can feel it kick in more power to keep that 27, but it won't give you 28. Well, it did once, twice. Never seen 29. What if I rail this down a hill? Can I get 30 out of it? Oh yeah, I should say, to someone doing a range test, I started this day out on 100% charge. I reset the trip to 0. I'm currently at like 5 miles, so we're going to just see where it goes. Now obviously the range testing is going to be ongoing. I need to find some off-road challenges for this little bike. And I know a couple around here I can use. Oh, little hill climb challenge. So now I'm going to try and do this very slowly, because this is two-wheel drive, as I say, literally. Front-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive. Seems to lead with the front a little bit more than the rear, which is interesting. You'd think it'd be the other way around, but I guess that makes sense. Scrappy. That's what it is. Scrappy. Now, one thing that is making the idea of the range test a little tricky is the way that this bike indicates its battery. It doesn't say like 99%, 98, 97, 96 and so on. It has a bar here which goes down. Okay, fine. But it will adjust depending on what you're currently riding at, it would seem. Because it can look like it's pretty full, and then you sit there at 27 for a bit and it will say half power, and then you'll slow down a bit and then it will say, oh, it's got a bit more. So what it's kind of doing is estimating what you have at that current speed, which doesn't really help you for working out how far you're going to get on it. So I'm working on the basis that this does about 60 miles-ish. I mean, this is the sort of thing you're going to do on this, you know, trails, lumps, bumps, little hills. Nothing huge. Oh, there's a big bump this side. I remember doing that before now. One of the places these bikes are selling quite a lot is in places like Spain, where they do, like adventure days, where you can rent one of these out and a few of you can go out with your mates and have fun on them. And for that purpose, I can totally get that. And that also kind of helps cover the cost a little bit. As I've said, this bike is £6,000, which is, it's quite a bit for what it is, but at the same time, there's nothing else quite like it, and it feels well made, and it actually is punchy, and it's good, and the range on it seems to be pretty good. So, yeah, it is what it is. Rocks. God! Yeah, remember, it's two-wheel drive, it will just pull its way through it. Okay, let's try that again. This is actually a really good, like, off-road test for the sort of terrains I want to try. you can actually just ride around this as you wish. It's just uncomfortable. Well, it's not uncomfortable. It's disconcerting. That's what I'm trying to say. Oh. 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 Oh no, someone dumped an obstacle. Basically, that is what this video is. Drive up and over everything and anything you can. Does that mean it could, like, pull itself up things? Okay, so, as we're in my slow speed control here, let's see how we go. The slowest U-turn possible. One of the other weird things with the two-wheel drive, as I've discovered, is that when you turn like this and you put the throttle on, it kind of pulls the front around. It almost wheel spins sideways. So if you get a tight turn and do that, you kind of feel it pull further round. It's kind of weird. What are we up to temperature? 92C, 93C. I guess that's the motor. Or is that batteries? Don't know. Well, I know it's the battery. Probably the motor. Because that's another thing. Electric bikes, you can temperature limit them. So basically, if you run them really, really hard, they get to a temperature limit and they go, no, and they drop the power for you for a while. It might do that on this, but it's still, I don't think it will drop the top speed. I think what it'll end up doing is just taking a bit longer to get to that 27. Where's that noise? Oh, it's the car behind me. You're revving your engine to be like, haha, I can rev my engine blue. Rev mine too. I can even have a turbo. You ain't got one of those, have you? Purging me nitrous. There you go. And if you get behind an old person, well then, you know, you don't even get your 27 mile an hour top speed. You're 18. 22. 23. Calm down, Gordon. This is not a land speed record. 25. Maniac. I mean, this is a pretty built-up road, but because there's traffic and people are going fairly slow, that's the lane you're supposed to take. You're not supposed to cut across the middle. Oh, come on, Gerald. We're already up to 12 miles, basically, and we've got 2 bars missing. It's gone back to 1. I'm going to turn the cameras off, put some music on, and I'm just going to try and knock some miles off of this thing. Just keep riding. Okay, we are up to 18 miles, and I've got 3 bars of my power missing. I've come up a hill, and I will say, this Portsdown hill is a pretty steep hill, and it's pulled itself up at 27 consistently. So now I'm going to go into the old back country roads, but it is really steep back there. And I think that might be a problem for this, because it's very steep for a long time. It's definitely got the power for a short amount of time, but I just don't know if it could. I just don't know. We're going to have to find out. Also, I've noticed that the temperature gauge is currently around 98 degrees. I suspect we might be pushing that in a minute. Oh, as I mentioned about, if you go downhill, you don't speed up. Watch this. That's a decent hill. 27. 27. 27. Bottom of the hill, should be the fastest. 27. Going up the hill. 27. Do you see my point about how it just keeps the speed and adjusts the power for you? So now I have to increase the gradient. I mean, the temperature's going down. So I have to increase the gradient to increase the test on it. Okay, if I just done it freewheel. 27. Throttle. 28, 29. 30, 31, 32, 34. At 34, it does not want to do any more than 34. That was it, and now it's slowing down. Okay, we're at 20 miles, and we've used 4 of our bars. We're a little over half battery remaining. But as I've said, depending on what sort of terrain you use it on, and on the average, it seems to adjust that battery amount. So I think that might be because we've been going up and down the hills. What I'm going to do now is go back up to the top of the hill, roll back down the hill, and go back to where I'm from so I can use the last of their mileage up over there. I've basically been at full throttle every time I'm on the throttle, pretty much. And that will eat an electric bike's battery. But for this, it's required. You need to do that just to get up to a speed that's considered safe. That's what I mean about that. The front end's sliding around. 26. It's going to get steeper here. 25. 24. So you probably can't tell that the gradients are shifting as I get up in here, but you might hear it. The camera's just completely hide gradient entirely. 23. 22. 21. Temperature's okay. And it will speed up again here as we get to the top. Whew. Well, you do have to remember here, this is basically an electric push bike. It's much more like an electric push bike than it is an electric motorcycle. So it's actually quite impressive that it can do this much. I mean, if you look at the elevation that I'm currently at, I've been from the bottom, down there at sea level, to the top, back down to the bottom about 3/4 of the way down, and then back up to the top again. That is a lot of climbing for a little 50cc equivalent electric with a 6'4", like 15.5 stone guy on it. But then again, me being bigger and weighing more is probably quite good because it would be more like this bike loaded up a bit. Well, we're up to 26.4 miles, and I have 3 bars of battery remaining. It's literally just all disappeared, just in a split second like that. Now this is the bit I'm talking about where I don't know what's what. Now the battery's back at half. As I say, it adjusts. So we're at 27 miles with half a battery. If we do another 27 miles, that's nearly 60 miles on a full charge, which, considering I did the first 27 up and down a very steep hill, means that the 60 to 70 that people keep suggesting, or I've seen suggested, is probably quite believable. The only problem is once it gets down to about this half power, you can notice that it isn't giving as much punch. It gets to 27 still, but it's not zipping to 27, it's creeping to 27. So a conclusion on this bike off-road. It's a good little scrappy machine. The 2-wheel drive does pull it up some reasonable climbs. It can pull itself up some long hills without slowing down too much when it's over 50% battery. Oh, another thing about the off-road potential, if you had a bit of weight up the front, it's actually better. I had 8 kilos of charcoal on the front of this the other evening, and I then went on a bit of gravel and noticed that because that extra weight is right up there, it does actually put more weight over the front wheel, and as I've said, the front wheel always wants to spin up, so you actually get a bit more grunt. So going up hills and things, a bit of extra weight on this bike up front would probably be quite advantageous. I will say that this never got any issues with temperature, which is quite impressive considering what I was doing to it, because even going downhill is putting pressure on the motor because it's doing regen, and that will build heat up in it, so you're constantly building heat in the motor. And yeah, it got to 99 at one point, never saw a number above that. However, I can make a salad. Oh no, I want to make a salad. Stay. No. We're very nearly at 30 miles and we've gone up a bar on the battery. This is what I mean about this whole up, down thing. Think right, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 27. Just takes that little bit longer now. I've just noticed the temperature on this is 100°C, and that is the first time I've seen that all day. Even on the, up on the hill, it didn't do that. 101? Are you alright there? Alright, well let's go on to the sandy bit and see if it feels like we've lost any torque. Yeah, that's a lot less torque. It's still doing it, but it's much less. But I am stuck now in sand and 107. Okay, I think I'm going to give this bike a minute. I still have some of my salad. Fantastic. Right, we're nearly up to 35 miles and we still have 4 bars of battery remaining. Yes, I did use locking up the rear wheel to highlight to that guy that I was there. Well, that is rather pretty. Okay, we are up to 37.2 miles. The battery is nothing, literally showing nothing, and it is telling me to plug it in. Okay, we've got our 2 bars back. It's not over yet. It had a lack of confidence for a minute, and then it was like, no, I'm good, man. I'm good, I can keep doing this. I've still got 2 bars. But you see how now I have absolutely no idea how long this is going to last. With some of the other bikes with percentage counters, I have a better idea of like how many miles I might actually get. I mean, for all I know, this could die in 2, or it could last another 10. Okay, the battery for a minute then said I had 3 bars, not 2. Yeah, there you go, I've got 3 now. Performance is not degraded much more, and we're still getting up to 27, 28. Okay, so we have our results. The final figure was 41.6 miles. The way that this bike died is, as I said with the battery, it kept going sort of up to 2 bars, down to 1 bar, then it said please charge me, then it went back to 2 bars, back to 1 bar, then please charge me, and then it got to 1 bar, and then it just died. Just screen off, everything, just boop, gone. Gave it a minute, turned it back on, and I was able to ride it for another sort of half a mile. Thankfully, that got me home. Yeah, that's our final result, 41.6 miles. Now, as I say, the claim is around 60. I've seen claims of up to 75. I think the 75 is going slow off-road trails. I think the 60 is probably just around town, on the flat only, with a light rider. With me, big guy, up and down that hill, and it is a big hill. I know for range testing that will destroy it, but I wanted to try and even it out. So half was on the flat, half was on hills, but it was super hilly, so, you know. But then you do get the plus side of the downhills for all of the uphills, but you use a lot more power getting uphill than you'll get in regained energy going downhill. 40 miles is actually comparable with another 50cc equivalent electric I've ridden. But what's really impressive with this is actually that it got those miles, it did those things. This battery is not that big. In fact, I'll take it out and I'll show you. Okay, the way this comes out is you've got a clip and a plug. You pull that out of there, and then you undo this Velcro, remove that, and then grab this. Oh, sorry, seat up makes it a lot easier. Okay, I've got a set of scales. This battery weighs 17.3 kilos. So it's actually quite a light battery. So yeah, it's quite impressive with that size battery that it's still got that performance. If you've enjoyed this video, hit the like button, subscribe if you're new here. If you want to help support this channel, please consider doing that through Patreon. I'd really, really appreciate it. There are other methods in the description if you wish to do it in a different way. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.